We're going to make some good radio today. Nick Dubé, tell me a bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Nick Dubé, and I work at NAMI Champlain Valley, and I myself am somebody who has, dealt with his struggles for years, mental health struggles and addiction struggles, but now I'm in a pretty good place in my life. I still have those struggles, but my resources have gotten better, and one of those things that I struggle with is suicidal ideation. So I think because September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, this is a good time to kind of get right into talking about suicide and suicide prevention.
And you mentioned suicidal ideation, and I think that's something that maybe we should talk a little bit about to describe it, because as somebody who, again, I'm very open about my own personal struggles, and I am not a stranger to suicidal ideation. But in case somebody doesn't know, that's what I'm doing, maybe we should talk about it.
Suicidal ideation can be a thought process. Sometimes there are things that you can't control. For me, my brain and my whole existence sometimes just goes into very dark places. And part of that dark lifestyle is feeling like I want to end everything, feeling like I want to take my own life, or considering that. So sometimes suicidal ideation can lead to suicide, and sometimes it can actually just be the thought process that's involved with being suicidal, or at least having that in your life.
So that way, if you've experienced it, those things, and that's likely what's happened.
Right, and I've already said the word suicide a couple times already in this conversation, and I can tell you that is a cringy word for some people. And that is because it's not a topic that we're used to talking about. It's not a topic that is easy to talk about. I think for a lot of people it can be something difficult to talk about. And I think there's probably a couple of reasons. One, because, it's a sad and depressing topic. Two, it's a taboo topic. Society does not like us talking about suicide. But I think a bigger reason that a lot of us don't talk about suicide is we kind of might not know the right way to talk about it. Does that make sense?
I think so, because I think there comes, I don't want to use the word shame, because you shouldn't feel ashamed for how you feel, but I think people are afraid that if they talk about it, and I'm only going to say this from personal experience, if I talk about it, then I'm going to get in trouble, and they're going to lock me away, and I won't be able to express myself, and maybe I'm not real serious, but I'm feeling bad, and for me, it always came from fear.
Yeah, and that really goes back to the whole idea that it is a taboo subject and that society is not equipped to talk about it. However, that's what we're going to do today, if that works for you.
I'm glad. I hope that we can help a lot of people who maybe not know where to go with this.
Right. So I know that this is a topic that a lot of people would like to avoid because it's easy to push this topic out of our minds. It's easier to talk about anything else. But in my view, and the view of many mental health professionals, we need to normalize our conversations about suicide and suicide prevention to help, like you were saying, that fear that you had of being locked up, or that fear of getting in trouble. We need to normalize the conversation so people are more inclined to talk about it when they need to. So before I get into advice and facts, I want to say that I totally understand that this is a sensitive topic, and for some people, this might not be something that they're able to listen to. However, I will do my best to mostly talk about empowering and the positive side of suicide prevention. Before I get into that, though, I do want to start with some stats, some statistics, just so we kind of have an idea of what we're actually dealing with. So if you're ready for that, I'm ready to go.
I'm ready.
Okay. So according to the CDC, in 2018, 48,344 Americans were reported to have died by suicide, and nearly 1.5 million Americans attempted suicide.
Oh, wow.
Now, this is just 1 year. This is 2018. And these are the statistics that the CDC was able to collect. So chances are you might know somebody that has died by suicide. And chances are even greater that you know someone who has considered ending their life by suicide.
Right.
Now, On average, 132 people die each day by suicide. And this rate of suicide in America has steadily been on the rise since the mid-2000s. Now, I guess you could call this an epidemic, but unlike other epidemics, suicide is almost completely preventable. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
There are many contributing factors like quality of life, chemical imbalance, domestic abuse, addiction, and other behavioral health problems. And there's a lot of different factors, but something that I believe that we can actually work on starting right now is lessening the taboo nature about talking about suicide.
Yeah.
So are you with me, Amanda?
I am.
All right. So there are a lot of online resources that are great when it comes to learning about how to help people who might be considering suicide. And a big one that I love is the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is found at suicidepreventionlifeline.org, or you can call them by calling 1-800-273-8255. And if any of our listeners would like to have more in-depth training opportunities about suicide prevention, please reach out to me because I am aware of opportunities for training, and most of the time they're free or very low cost. And you can send me an email. That's nick@nami-cv.org, or they can get a hold of you, Amanda, because you always know how to get a hold of me. I'm going to share a lot of resources and telephone numbers, but I will have links to that information and a few tips on my blog and social media later today. So just go ahead and look for the Mental Health Survival Guide on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and Facebook, or you can go to nhsg.org. Now, how can you or how can we help someone that you think might be in danger of suicide? First, you might feel the need to look for warning signs like personality changes, risky behavior, isolation, and depressing talk. However, no matter what sign you look for, you might need to actually trust your gut. If you think that someone you know is considering ending their life, this is an opportunity for you or someone you trust to reach out and talk to that person. So I have a couple of sample questions, if that's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you suspect that someone is considering ending their life, here are some questions. They're not perfect, but here we go. First thing you could ask is, how are you coping with what's happened in your life or what's happening in your life? Another question is, are you thinking about dying? Another question is, are you thinking about hurting yourself? Then there's, are you thinking about suicide? You can just go straight out and ask, are you thinking about suicide? And you can also, and this is an important question to ask, is, do you have access to weapons or things that can be used to harm yourself? Now, these are awkward questions to ask, so feel free to reword them in whatever way you think works best for you. But it's important to remember that asking about suicidal thoughts or feelings aren't actually going to push someone into doing something self-destructive. In fact, people have found, and therapists have found, that offering an opportunity to talk about your feelings may reduce the risk of acting on suicidal urges. Does that make sense?
It does.
It's important for us to keep in mind that you are there for them. So if you seem uncomfortable or awkward, they might pick up on that, and they might try to relieve you of your pain by brushing it off.
Oh, yeah.
So and so a good thing to do is to practice talking about this stuff by yourself or with close friends. Because, and this is the big reason, is being clear and direct is key here. If you don't get a clear or direct response after asking these questions, you might want to ask a different question or try to deepen the conversation. You show them that you're here for them and that you're a safe person to talk to. So if you get past that point and you believe that a friend or a loved one is considering suicide but might not be in immediate danger, here are a few things that you can do. One, you can encourage that person to reach out for support or even offer to reach out with them. So you don't have to say, here's a phone number and then leave them. you can actually say, hey, let's call this number together. There's a great national prevention text line, and you can text it 24 hours a day. You just text HI or GOT5 to 741-741, and within a few minutes, you'll be connected to somebody who is trained in suicide prevention. But if you'd rather talk on the phone, there's also the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, which is 1-800-273-8255, also 24 hours a day, and you can speak with someone who is also a trained professional in suicide prevention. And we do have a local option. If you're here in Clinton County, you can call and get connected with the crisis prevention team, and their number is 1-866-577-3836. All of these resources are confidential, and you can call them even if you or a loved one are not sure if they're suicidal. So another thing you can do is look for professional ongoing support. Now, you can do this by calling the United Way and seeing what's available. That's calling 211. You can also reach out to us here at NAMI Champlain Valley, or you can go to our groups. You can give us a call. Our number is 518-561-2685, and leave a message for one of our outreach workers. So that's if you are having a conversation and you think that this person might be considering it, but they're not in immediate danger. However, if you are talking to somebody and you believe that they have a plan or they have intent on ending their life, they are in immediate danger, there are a couple things that you can do. And this best practices are from the CDC, suicide prevention websites, and also the Mayo Clinic suggest this. So here are 4 things that you do when you think that the person that you're with might attempt suicide.
Okay.
So the first thing is do not leave that person alone. The second thing is call 911 or other emergency services. If you think that you can do it safely, you can actually take this person to the emergency room yourself. The third thing is try to find out if that person is under the influence of alcohol or drugs. The fourth thing is tell a friend or a family member right away what is going on in order to enhance your personal safety. Now, the last thing that I suggest when it comes to suicide prevention is that for you yourself to understand how you feel about suicide and make a plan in your life. It's good for you to know your resources and your level of comfort. If you're not someone who is okay with talking about suicide, get to know some people and programs who are, just so that you can refer anyone that you love to them. Because suicide is preventable, but we need to get over our hang-ups and our stigma in order to help our loved ones. Does that make any sense?
Oh, for sure. And I know we worry that we're going to offend somebody or we're going to do something like that, but you could be saving someone's life. It's kind of sucks to have an uncomfortable conversation, but if it keeps your loved one here, I think that's all that matters.
Right. You know, I saw a post the other day, and it just was really great, was I'd rather spend time talking with you than attending your funeral.
That's it. 100%.
You know?
And I don't care how long we have to talk. We'll talk, you know?
Exactly. Now, this is a pretty heavy subject, but that is all I really have on this topic at this moment. And I would love feedback, so please let me or Amanda know about this topic. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You can reach out to NAMI Champlain Valley, because we actually, starting next week, we have some great suicide prevention events, and we would love participation in any form. So reach out, and we will get you involved.
Awesome. So I get, as we wrap up, I just want to say, like, I hope that anybody who has been concerned or scared, or I even use the word ashamed to talk about this, I hope that we've let you know that you're not alone when you think or feel this way.
No, and if you can find it in yourself to reach out to somebody and talk with them, you need to recognize that you are brave, amazing, and possibly saving your own life.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, Nick, as always, it's been my pleasure, and I'm going to let you take us out and stay on the line with me, though.
No problem. Amanda, take care of yourself, and I hope the listeners take care of themselves and each other, because suicide is preventable, and survival is more than just staying alive.